Natalie Robinson is the entrepreneur behind Mum's Garage, a company that provides startup education, community and business development support to budding entrepreneurs to not only start but grow a company. Despite being based in Auckland, much of its work is available through its online community and web-based video programs. And Natalie Robinson joins me now. How did the idea for the business come about, firstly?
Well, actually, like many business ideas, it came from my own frustrations. So it was my own frustrations around trying to start companies. I always, well, since I'd always had many ideas and had aspirations for wanting to start a business. I just found that there wasn't the support needed to take the first steps. So it was actually a series of events happened, and I became very interested in the idea of community and the power of surrounding yourself with like-minded people. And so I started running these community get-togethers in my mum's garage, and it sort of just evolved from there, essentially.
I'm interested because you're saying that it came almost out of frustration. So did you actually have a different business idea originally that you wanted to get off the ground, and then it evolved into, well, hang on, here's a gap?
Yes, exactly.
So what was the original idea?
Oh, well, I had a few actually, which was probably part of the problem. I had a few that I was working on. One was a way of electronically transferring receipts from point of sale to a software system. And another one was a peer-to-peer marketplace, which is sort of quite a common first idea for people. But those were the two ideas. But I also had many ideas, like while I was at university and while I was also working in a corporate job, I was always tinkering away on ideas. But those were the two that I was really focusing on when I quit the job and sort of started really learning about entrepreneurship and trying to get something off the ground.
And of course called Mum's Garage because it was in Mum's Garage.
Yes. Yep, that's right.
You started off banking with the BNZ, moved to Freight Hub, then to Centrality. What learnings did you take from that and bring to this?
Well, actually, from my banking experience, really, so my background's in finance, that really hasn't been so significant until I've started working with later stage companies, because the early stages of starting a company they're very different from working within a company, and you're focusing on quite different things. But the first stage of Mum's Garage was very early stage entrepreneurship, so helping people come up with ideas they can execute and do market validation. And now I'm working with slightly later stage companies, which is more focused on developing a business model, and it's more of a financial focus or raising money. So that's the banking experience is really becoming more important now. I guess just the general business acumen that I got from banking was important, and developing the analytical part of my brain. With Freight Hub, I was working mostly on sales. So I was doing that while I was still working at Mum's Garage. So I was just doing that. I was spending 50% of my time there. So it was, sales, leadership, just working in slightly later stage companies. I took a lot of learnings from that. And then the Centrality Accelerator, so I was program manager for that. And the big learnings around that were on blockchain technology, which was something I was very interested in.
How do you go from this idea to all of a sudden clients? Because that's the hardest part, is getting the first client and then ultimately more after that.
Yes, well, you've got to have something that's uniquely valuable. And in the first instance, that doesn't have to be a product. It can just be a vision or a philosophy that people align with and believe in. So that's what we had initially with Mum's Garage. It was a view on what wasn't working within the startup ecosystem, and a view on the support that people actually needed. And that was, a much more human-focused approach. So that's what we talked about and shared initially, and got our first customers, and from that we developed the products and services that we have now.
So what wasn't working in that start ecosystem?
I think, the focus was very much on raising money and having a product. So there's a lot of work that goes on before you have a product that people actually want, and before you're ready to take on investment. And so what currently existed was just really focused on investable people and investable ideas. There wasn't a lot of support for getting people to that point. So there are lots of people with really good ideas who were just stuck in the limbo of having an idea, but not really knowing how to create anything that would get them to the stage where they could raise money or have a product that people want.
Are you evolving as your clients come in and tell you about more issues and more problems? Because I know, for example, the government's brought in more investment programs for startups, so there's more ways to get money. So are you sort of finding that what you are having to supply is changing as well?
Yes, definitely. And that's how Mum's Garage has evolved. I guess you could say because we started out as a community where it was very much just about supporting each other to learn and take action on ideas. And then the education part became very important because we realized that, well, there's these consistent actions that successful entrepreneurs take that no one's really talking about or sharing. So then we started running education programs, and then it's sort of just that's been the process of is filling the gaps that we see consistently within the entrepreneurial community, and those are changing. So, we've been doing digital marketing workshops more lately. And then we also do workshops on certain technologies occasionally, just depending on, the problems that we see existing at the time.
So what do you mean by it's part business, part community?
Well, the community, part education, part community. I guess the community, it started as a community. And so community is sort of, the way communities work is it's many to many. So you're having, it's not just one to many, for example. So a business is generally you create a product or service and someone pays you for it. So you're a business creating a product. It's one to many. Whereas community is you're sharing value. So you're giving value and getting value back.
But how do you make money out of that? Because if someone else is talking to someone else and you're the middle person who doesn't know that, what's in it for you?
Yeah, well, that's been the difficult thing about Mum's Garage, is monetizing that community piece. And that's why we do a lot of programs and workshops and that type of thing as well, because that's the business model for Mum's Garage, is the education piece. But we are getting closer to monetizing the community. There's actually really good software that helps with it now, and that's why we've put everything online so we can make it a bit more scalable, which means that the more people you have, the lower the cost needs to be to make it sustainable, because you have many people paying a small amount.
So is it a subscription model?
Yes, it is.
How do you maintain that community feel?
Well, it's really about the culture that you create within the community. So the idea is that, so you maintain it by having the right people as part of the community that sort of propagate that culture.
But that indicates, I guess, that you have to find the right people. But
Yes.
these people are approaching you. So are they one and the same, or does it not always work that way?
Well, that comes from our messaging and our brand. So we're very conscious of communicating our values and our philosophy, and so then we tend to attract the right people, and the people that aren't the right people generally figure out that they're not pretty quickly. But that is the challenge of community, is that it's making sure that you have a core group of people who are the right people, and then you have that strong base to grow from. And that sort of maintains the culture of the community. But community is definitely challenging. It's very powerful. If you have a good community, it's very, very valuable, but it's also very challenging to maintain and grow.
Yeah, it's interesting you say you want to help people discover their unique value. How do you help someone do that?
Well, the amazing thing about humans is that everyone has a unique story or a unique series of events that have got them to where they are, and that's from their upbringing, their schooling, certain things that that have had a big impact on their life, and that gives them these unique personality traits and these unique skills and these unique ideas and views on the world. And so if you can help someone when someone comes in with an idea or many ideas, they generally always have a story, because ideas come from experiencing a few things that create this new connection that means they've got this new idea of something that could exist in the world that's different. And so if you can untap where that idea has come from and what those experiences are or their views that have led to that idea and then build on that, then you can create something that's uniquely valuable for that person, whether it's a product or service or whatever it eventuates to be. But those are genuinely the most... If you can build a company that's based on a person's or a team of people's unique views, and you maintain that as the company grows, then it's very difficult to compete with, because it's just got this authentic core value that flows through into the brand and the product and the culture. And it's a much better way to exist as a company if you have that versus just trying to replicate what everyone else is doing.
I wonder, do you need special qualities, if you like, to succeed as an entrepreneur, or is it something like inherently inbuilt in you, or is it something you can learn?
Well, there's a few arguments around that, but I definitely believe it's something that you can learn. I think the main qualities, like the consistent qualities that successful entrepreneurs have, is their ability to work hard and their ability to focus on the right things. The rest, if I was to say anything else, like a certain personality type, there would always be an exception, because all entrepreneurs are very unique and have different personalities and different skills. It's just they develop good techniques for using them or balancing them out, or they have the right people that balance out their weaknesses, etc., etc.
So if you were to give one bit of advice, just one, to a budding entrepreneur, what would be the most important bit?
I would say just focus on the next step, just the step that's one step ahead of you. Because I think that's a common mistake, and it's why a lot of people don't get started, is because they just get overwhelmed by the amount of things that they have to do. So the next step might just be working out, like for instance, if you're in a job, it might just be working out how much money you have and how long that will last you if you were to quit your job. Because if you have enough money to last you 6 months to a year, then you have quite a bit of time to learn about how to start a company. Or it might just be, or the next step might be, reach out to, here is someone who has done what you're wanting to do. Have a coffee with them. That would be it. Just the one next thing. Because that's sort of it's like people talk about jumping off the cliff. When you're starting a business, you're jumping off a cliff. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be like walking downstairs if you just take one step, and that's a much easier thing to do than leaping off a cliff.
Well, my next step is to thank you very much for talking to us. I do appreciate, Natalie Robinson, you coming in. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.